Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This session is about image management at Ebates. Speaker is Mr. Rajiv from Ebates and Director of the Technology Operation. The session will be end at 4:05, so it's kind of like a small session, but it's very interesting. So please pay attention. So go ahead, Rajiv.
Hello everyone. Before I start, right, I want to know how many of you are with the infrastructure background, meaning from a technology operations infrastructure. So I know how technical or to keep it at a high level. So I want to make sure the discussion or the talk is the same frequency. So just a show of hands, how many are infrastructure? Okay, a few. Okay, so I know how to control this, right? So that's good. Little bit about myself and the team. So we are Ebates, right? So we are based out of San Francisco, and as a team, we are responsible for the site operations, which includes availability, performance, security, right? So that's the context of the technology operations. And I want to show a little bit about what here.
Life gives us a lot of reasons to buy things. Like if you're having your first baby, you're probably excited to buy all that cute stuff, but not excited to have to buy all that stuff. It's expensive. It takes time to find the deals. But it doesn't have to with Ebates, the leading online cashback and deals site, where you can save hours of deal hunting and hundreds of dollars. By partnering with thousands of retailers, Ebates can provide you with the best deals around, plus cash back on your purchases. All you have to do is sign in or sign up for a free account on ebates.com. Search for deals by product or store, then click Shop Now to complete your purchase on the retailer's site. In a few days, your cash back will be added to your Ebates account. And every quarter, you'll receive a big fat check in your mailbox, which means you can keep more hours in your day, more cash in your wallet, and more focus on the great things that life brings.
All right, so that's a short video about Ebates. So we are an online cashback shopping company. So basically what we do is we sign up members, and we want to drive member traffic to the merchants. So we have a relationship with our merchants, and basically we reward members to make purchases at the merchants, right? So we get a commission, and then we reward our members. So that's the context, and so we are part of the Rakuten e-commerce company, right? So Ebates is the yellow logo that you see. So in terms of the website, so it's ebates.com is the primary website, and rebates.jp. So that's a new website that was recently launched on Rakuten Ichiba main website. You will see a logo for rebates.jp. So that infrastructure is also running out of San Francisco office. And we have fatwallet.com and BFAds, so many of the consumer and the online shopping websites, right? So that's what we host. And in terms of the sector, right? So we were founded in 1999. Rakuten acquired us in 2014 of October. And the real interesting fact here is the Thanksgiving to Cyber Monday, right? So that's the peak period that's going to come in November. Right, so where 5.5% of all e-commerce traffic in the US, right? So the purchase, it went through eBay. So that accounts for many $billion in gross merchandise value, and we get a part of commission. So that is a big traffic flows through Ebates, and we also have the smartphone adoption, right? So that's increasing, and so I like quite a few talks today. The one that that happened just now with the Rakuten catalog product, and then there was another with the Rakuten University. So there is a lot more focus on the catalog product, right? So they talked about machine learning. They talked about, okay, hey, what is a taxonomy, how you go through. And one of the things there is also around images, right? So images for the products. And so in this presentation, I'm going to talk about how at Ebates, right? So how we operate for the image management of our product catalog, right? So as the video showed earlier, so we are a store-centric company today, right? Which is members come to Ebates, they get a cookie and they go off to the merchant side. So we are not a marketplace, right? So the member come in and then we are very lightweight, so traffic comes in and goes. But we want to grow in the adjacent areas. One of the business initiative is to build a product catalog search, right? So we offer our members incentive to shop on a product versus based on a store, right? If you want a handbag or a shoe, right? Let's say a red shoe or a red bag, then you just want to find where you get the best deal for the product, and then you want to just go simply make the purchase at a site that gives you the best cashback, right? So the best deal. So that's the goal, and in terms of scale is to have approximately 300 million product listings, and it translates to about 1.2 billion images. And the reason for that is because we want to deliver images tied to the form factor of the device. If you are coming in through a smartphone or you're coming through tablet, through desktop, then the resolution of the images need to be sized appropriately. So we have approximately 3 to 4 images for every product, right? So that's the business goal that was put forward. And I show some screenshots. So this is our ebates.com website. And you search for, let's say, a handbag, and then a search result comes in, and the members are going to pick whichever product they like, and then they continue on, right? So that's the concept here. And the high-level technical architecture is on the left. You see that we get the data feeds from the various merchants that I talked about, 1,000+ merchants, right? So, and then we also have our own scrapers, which goes to the merchant sites and downloads the products. And it also downloads the image and everything else. So we don't want to redirect our members for the image to load from a different site. The experience will be suboptimal. Sometimes image may not be there on the site and whatnot, right? So we download it to a location, and then the product catalog search magic, right, that happens. So that was discussed about, okay, so we get all these feeds, you got to categorize it, you got to apply the taxonomy structures that the previous speakers were talking about, right? And so for that, some of the technologies that we use is we use Apache Spark for processing the images, Kafka queuing, and Cassandra is the product catalog database for us, right? So the unstructured data that the previous speakers were talking about, if the product catalog is residing on the Cassandra database cluster. And so once all of the backend processing happens, it needs to be front-ended by a web server to serve those images, right? So one is downloading all the images and doing the processing, and it also needs to show up on a website. And we have the web server form with CDN front-ending, because without CDN, the experience is going to be really bad, right? So we front-end the images with a CDN. So for this, we're going to talk about just in this case, right? So the image storage is what the discussion is going to focus on. So from a technical requirement, so because this is a new initiative, you don't know if the launch is going to be successful or not. So we wanted to make sure that we don't go all in or buy expensive gear, right, without knowing what the market adoption is going to be like, right? So we said, okay, we want to do a scale-out solution, something that starts small and grows, right? Versus going a monolithic or a mainframe type solution. So it's going to have a soft launch and go through the A/B testing, just like most of the new initiatives that you go through. And based on the success, you do a mass rollout, right? So I talked about billions of small files, and it's a very high density. And in this case, we don't want it to be, we want all the images to be small size, right? Because obviously we don't want on the mobile phones a large image size getting downloaded, right? So that's one of the key factors. We want this to be highly reliable and available, that supports disaster recovery scenarios. And the performance is mainly for the back-end processing, because there is a lot of churn that, I mean, it's a constant, it's a pipeline, it runs all the time, because the feeds, what the promotions the merchants offer, the products, new products keep coming in. So it's a constant pipeline, so there's a lot of I/O requirements from the back-end processing. And for the front end, because the CDN is going to mask that, right? Because unless it's a completely new product, and even that, until it's cached, the very few requests come to the origin. So we evaluated a few solutions, but I'm going to just focus on the solution that we picked, right? So this problem is solved by different companies differently. I'm going to talk about how we went about doing this. How many of you are aware of a MapR? No. Okay, good. Yeah. So they are known in the Hadoop space, right? In big data space, where you store a lot of unstructured storage, and so it is a solution that fits our requirement because it is a scale out. It runs on commodity hardware. So you have storage pools to enable performance, and then so it has some concepts with the name content. I'm not going to go into the details of this based on the audience here, but the key thing here is it meets the feature sets that we were looking for. Okay, so this is a visualization of how we go about, right? So the left side here is all the data processing that happens, and then we use NFS as a mechanism to provision, to make the storage available to all the data processing instances, and then it is a two-way, right? So because the product listings changes and the images of the products are no longer applicable, so it is read-write on the left. And on the right, it is mostly read, right? So a request comes in to fetch, and then CDN is for the end user traffic. So what are some of the lessons learned? Is it's very easy to implement because it runs on Linux, and then you load the software, and in 2 to 3 days, you can pretty much get the cluster up, right? And it also functions very well for read requests, right? So when there is a lot of requests, you put the absolute path, it works really good from a performance standpoint. So the key thing here is if you are in the infrastructure space, right? So you will understand quickly that the metadata lookup will be a bottleneck, right? Because when you're looking at billions of files, then you want to make sure it is spread across, right? So, but typically, sometimes it's easy to overlook. The developers look at this as a black box and then start pounding too many files in one folder. Suddenly, the performance slows down, or it comes down to a crawl. Then you have to redo it, and then that is time-consuming and painful. So, for those of you who are wanting to implement a solution like this, the key thing is to spread it across, right? So have a deep structure for the file layout so that you don't have too many files just in one location. And then just a unique thing about this product here is if you have too many files and they're all less than 64K, even though the cluster, you can run multiple millions of files, there's no limit. The performance will quickly slow down if we don't create multiple volumes, right? So that was one of the painful things that we learned as a part of our journey. And performance is always in the storage space, right? So I/O is a bottleneck. It's not CPU or memory. In this case, it's mostly the disk I/O is the bottleneck, and it can be mitigated by adding more spindles or you choose faster drives, right? So I think that's so that's all I had. Any questions or? Go ahead.
So, do you resize image and reduce the resolution both at, or you do only one? How do you
We do both, right? So because we get the requirements 360 by 360, 540, and also the various resolution. So, and also we choose the image format type, right? Because there are so many, you could do JPEG, GIF, PNG. So the ultimate thing for us is we want to keep our CDN bills low, right? Because if the images, because if you are, because whatever the CDN company you choose, I mean, they're going to charge you based on how much request and the bandwidth, right? So we don't want to incur heavy cost there. And also not make the experience too slow, because if it is high-res images, then right, because it takes too long, the user experience degrades.
Yeah, so you have like a retina device, non-retina device, mobile, tablet,
Yes.
desktop. So
Yes,
what are,
exactly.
like, how many types of images you can
4.
make from?
Typically we store 4, and if this becomes complicated, then you could buy that as a service from your CDN company too. So that way you just store one version of the image in the origin, and then they can detect, right? It's again a function of cost, right? I mean, so do we want to sign up for that service?
Yeah, one more question. So all this origin company that you're sourcing image from, they have different dimension of images.
Yes.
But in your system, you have fixed type of images, like the dimension is fixed. How do you convert, like maybe 4:3, or like some other dimension may not fit, or you crop or resize automatically?
Yeah.
Do you do something manually, or?
No, we don't go to that level, because it's going to be at the scale at which that we are doing, right? It's going to be really, it's not going to be feasible, because this is a pipeline that constantly keeps churning, and then, so at times you may not get the ideal resolution that you were looking for, but yeah.
When you resize the image, do you also do cropping or something like?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So because we want to make sure that the image that is served is meeting the purpose, right, at the end of it. So that is one requirement, and the other is, as you were seeing the previous talks, the click-through, it also matters, right? Because you are building a massive unstructured space here, and what is the utilization, right? And then there is really not a good mechanism to do hot-cold segregation. So what is your hot data set? And that can vary, right? Because whatever trends, and suddenly people might start focusing. So it's not really feasible to apply data tiering, right, on the images.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much, Rajiv-san.
Thank you.
This is the end of the session in management